Best tax advice I ever got in my life. I'm going to share it with you today. And it was actually from my dad. So I was anticipating, or am anticipating, that Revenue Canada is really going to hit me hard, and in the kind that keeps you up at night. And I went whining to my dad about it, which was a big mistake because my father is not the guy you go to when you need mercy. So I went to him and said, "Oh, Dad, Revenue Canada is going to shaft me. I can feel it." And he went, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "So you owe them money?" And I said, "Probably quite a bit, Dad." And he goes, "Oh, then you must have made some money, eh?" I said, "Well," he goes, "Oh, how terrible. Every father worries about this moment that his daughter becomes a success. What a tragedy. Oh my God, Daniela, you're successful. Your businesses took off. As a father, I'm so sad for you. This is the biggest heartbreak. A father, my daughter's successful. This is horrible." And I'm like, "Okay, Dad, I get it." And then came, the right hook or the uppercut. So then he says to me, Daniela, he goes, "Let me tell you why you're an asshole." He says, "We live in the most generous country for entrepreneurs. The amount of write offs this government gives business builders is unbelievable." He goes, "And then you're going to sit there and complain." He said, "And really," he goes, "I want you to really think about your life and compare to other people who just work a job instead of owning businesses." He said, "So you often, I notice, have to go to nice restaurants, and you literally have to go. There's days that I see you don't want to go out and oh, I have to go to this restaurant because I have a meeting or whatever booked." He goes, "So you have to go to, and you can't take these people to Tim Hortons." He goes, "So you end up in nice restaurants, sipping a glass of wine and whatever, and that's part of your job." I said, "Yeah." He says, "And if you're going to go to those places, you got to dress the part. So you get to wear nice clothes and, dry clean only clothes, right?" I said, "Well, sometimes." He goes, "And you go to and from those nice restaurants in your nice car, right? It's pretty cozy, your car." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "And the rest of the time, you're pretty much at home because three-quarters of your job you do from home in your pajamas online." Yeah. He goes, "So you live a pajama lifestyle, and when you're not in pajamas, you're at a beautiful restaurant sipping wine and in a nice car, and you get to write off every one of those things: the gas to and from, your lease on the car, the beautiful glass of wine you drank during your business meeting, the dry cleaning on your clothes. All of that is pay. You get to write off, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, I do." He goes, "Now compare that to someone who just has a job. They commute a hell of a longer than you, sometimes an hour, 2 hours every single day. They're spending in commuting fees and gas and everything else. Do they get to write it off? No. And they spend a hell of a lot more than you do on those things. And these nice, beautiful restaurants you get to go to that are a write off, they not only do they not get to write it off, but a lot of these people will never see the inside of a restaurant like that in their life. And if they do, it's a special occasion. It's not the norm like it is for you. So, how horrible for you that you have to dress up and you have to go to nice restaurants and you have to drive this car once in a while, that then you get to write off all of it. And then, what, you want me to feel sorry for you? What the hell is wrong with you? And he was right. He was right. And I go back to one of my early inspirations for self development, and that's Louise Hay. She spoke a lot about the scarcity mindset and abundance thinking. And when you're cursing bills, things you have to pay, you're cursing your ability to attract money. Because if you have to spend that money, then that's a resentment, and that negativity keeps more money coming from you. And it screws your perspective and your appreciation of life. So, for example, when I get my hydro bill, instead of being, "Oh, hydro," it'd be like, "How lucky am I that I live in a house with hydro and that I can actually pay this bill this month in full on time?" How amazing that I'm in a life position that I can afford to live this comfortably. And these bills are not an indication of what you owe or what is taken from you. These bills are a reflection of all the wonderful things you are surrounded by, the technology, the whatever that makes us cozy and comfortable. So all these are an indication of success. If you have bills to pay, if you have Revenue Canada keeping you up at night, those are all success indicators. When I was broke, Revenue Canada was, and if you're American, this IRS, right? Or wherever you live, was where I went to when I was really strapped. So I would not do my tax returns because when you're broke, you actually get money back usually. So I wouldn't do my tax returns for 4 or 5 years. And then when I hit a moment where I was really strapped, I would catch up on all my tax returns just to cash in. Because then it would be like, 600-800 bucks, and that was like winning a lottery, when I was really, really broke. Well, now I'm in a situation where I'm successful, and right when you start earning money, when you go from being broke to not broke, sometimes you still treat your finances like a broke person until you've learned the budgeting of someone who's not broke. So then you don't prepare for taxes. You don't, prepare, you don't get your write-offs all in a line, or listed or whatever. You don't watch mileage, things like that, and then you end up getting a bigger bill than you even had to if you were just organized or whatever. And so often we make money, we spend money, we don't think about the taxes until tax season, and then we get this massive bill and we don't know how we're going to pay it. So what my dad does is he has an automatic deduction, not once a month, not once a quarter, every single week. Every single week, he has an automatic deduction come out of his bank and go into his Revenue Canada. So he pays his taxes in advance, as the year is going. So then that way, when tax season comes, it's $1,000 or $2,000 and not $20,000 or $30,000. So he pays it as he goes throughout the year. Had I done that, had I kept my mileage, had I kept all my receipts, had I done whatever, I wouldn't be in the panic that I'm in now. So instead of just judging myself for not getting myself in a position that wouldn't hurt, you know what I mean, and being organized in advance, it's just so much easier for me to point at Revenue Canada, point at the tax man, and say, "You're awful for coming after me." When the reality is, I live in an awesome country. I live in an awesome country. And if anything, as an entrepreneur, you're always hanging on to the big why, right? And that's what makes you work 80 hours, 100 hours a week, is because you're something you're working for that's greater than a number in the bank, or whatever. There's usually some altruistic, you know what I mean, thing that really drives you. But now that I know that Revenue Canada is going to give me a big bill, instead of being miserable that this bill is going to come, I've shifted that in my head to a challenge. How much money? Because when you're an entrepreneur, see, here's the thing about owning your own business, as much as this stress can be scary, there's no limit on what you can earn. When you work at a job, you could give it your all, right? And then when the raise season comes, like when they do your review, it's usually like these little incremental things. It's $20 a week, like you don't even notice it on your check, and getting those promotions are few far between in your career, and income sources are limited unless you get an inheritance or a lottery or whatever. You're pretty much, this is what you're going to make. And you're only going to get so high, because even at an executive level, the majority of executives are at the, maybe $100,000 mark, but not all of them are at the $200,000 mark. So, and when you're broke, 100,000 sounds like a lot of money. But when you get to 100,000, it's not enough a lot of the times. You know what I mean? Because you're to make $100,000 as an entrepreneur, not maybe as a salaried employee, it takes money to make that kind of money. So then if you're going to have to spend this money to make that money, so half of that's gone anyway, then you need to make more than that to feel like you're making the amount you want. I know that might not make sense, but it really is the way it feels. So now all I am is motivated, because I'm not bound by HR to say, well, Daniela, you're only going to get a raise of this much, right? As an entrepreneur, the world is limitless. The opportunities are limitless. I know people that have made $100,000 in a week. You know what I mean? Because they did something online, or something happened and it worked for them, and boom, $100,000 right there in 1 week. So now my motivation is, what are the odds? Because really, April is when all this is going to get finalized, and I'm going to find out exactly how much I owe. They're just working it all out now. And so my goal is, how much money can I make from now until April? So when I get that bill, I could just send them a check. That's going to be the best feeling ever. That's going to be the best check I ever wrote. So now it's no longer this negative, oh my God, the bill's coming, what am I going to do? Instead, I'm feeling like I'm playing this game, and there's this challenge. This is like my own personal ice bucket challenge for Revenue Canada, to see how much money can I make in a really short amount of time. So my goal now, my why, is to not just make it over the next little bit, but to do a massive monetized hustle short term, so that I can pay the bill in full in one shot. That's what I'm visualizing. One happy check. Then I just keep picturing myself writing a massive check, all those zeros, and feeling so relieved that I'm all caught up and everything's great. And that's the vision I hang on to. So now I put every task I do through that filter. So this hour that I'm doing this, is this going to monetize something for me? No. Then it goes on the bottom of the to-do list. Let me do the income generating tasks first. What can I do that'll get me here quicker? And now it becomes a game, it becomes a quest, and that's an amazing feeling. Because when you get eaten alive and stressed and miserable is when there's no solution, when there's no way out, or when there's no hope. So as soon as you shift, I might not make that money. You know what I mean? I might be screwed. I might get a bill in April and want to cry. Okay, who knows what could happen from now till then. But in terms of my health, quality of life, mental, emotional stability, what's better for me? Going from here until April scared shitless of what's going to happen? Or going from here to April on a quest to make this be one of the successes of my life? So, just for my mental, emotional, and physical health alone, even if I'm in complete denial, right, this still is a better way to live. Because either way, in April, I'm either going to be sad or miserable. But in this mentality, keeping me healthy and strong and positive, I'm more likely to pull off a Hail Mary pass than I would be if I was walking around miserable and depressed. Instead, my chin is up, which means my eyes are forward. My eyes are looking, and I'm hunting. I'm hunting for big game, and that's a damn good feeling. Have a great day.